by written advance notice of the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting, and a statement that formal action may be taken at this meeting. Such notice has been prominently posted in at least one public place reserved for such or similar announcements, specifically New Jersey Historic Preservation Office, delivered to 4 newspapers, specifically the Trenton Times, the Essex News Daily, and the Newark Star Ledger, and the Jersey Journal, and filed with the Secretary of State on that date, all pursuant to the Act. May we have a roll call, please?
I think Megan has the roll call sheet. There she goes.
You ready for roll call?
Yes.
Catherine Hunt is in with me, just so you all know, our DAG. Are you ready for a roll call?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Sophia Jones?
Here.
Flavia Alaya? See Flavia. Right, Flavia's on, right?
Yeah, she's muted though.
Did somebody check with Flavia to make sure that her audio and everything was working this morning properly?
I did not.
We should do that.
Do you want me to, if someone asked Christopher to help? Okay.
I think
you.
Christopher's on the meeting. Christopher, are you able to reach out to Flavia, make sure that she can hear us and we can hear her?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. Yes, I will give her a call.
Thank you.
Luann DeCunzo
Here.
and Bob Preston.
Present. We'll
So I guess
give
we'll
it a few,
just give Flavia
few
a minute.
minutes for Flavia to connect.
Okay.
Send her a text. In the meantime, just procedurally, I'm assuming the members that are online now accept the agenda as presented. A head shake is good.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, while we're waiting for Flavia, do you want to read the rules?
Yes, thank you. What to expect at the Historic Sites Council meeting. The HPO staff will present a draft resolution, and the council can ask questions of the staff. The applicant will then have an opportunity for a presentation, hopefully no longer than 20 minutes. And the HPO that needs anything to be presented at the meeting will be reviewed and analyzed at that point. The application will then be open for public comment. Following the public comment, the Historic Sites Council will deliberate on the resolution and pass on its recommendation to the king. Any questions? While we're waiting for Flavia, do we have any communications? Staff at all?
So, yeah, I think the only update that we have is, as you can see, appointments for the council are moving forward. And so we're hoping that those continue to move forward in the fall when the legislature is back in session.
Very good.
I have to admit that I still need to fill out that form and submit it. I don't put it on my to-do list. Sorry, being honest.
She's there, but she's muted.
I'm gonna go check with Christopher and see how.
And we
things
need
are going.
Flavia for that quorum, right?
That is correct, we do. And then my understanding, just so that everyone's clear, my understanding is Sophia has another commitment at 2 o'clock, so can only stay until 2. And so we will lose quorum if the meeting's not concluded by 2 o'clock.
We'll make that deadline.
So it seems that Flavia can hear and see everything in the meeting. She's just not able to unmute herself. So my understanding was that she was going to try to log off and log back on again and see if that would allow her to control her microphone. But if not, then we might just have her stay on, but then dial in with her phone so that she could speak when she wants to speak and needs to speak.
I think the last time she had this problem for the last meeting as well, and she just ended up putting her comments in the chat as well as a
Right,
sort of
that's
workaround.
Right, that's another option.
Yeah.
So Christopher is on the phone with her, just trying to figure out if they can make the technology work.
Apologies to everyone waiting. Got some technical difficulties that we're trying to work through. Appreciate your patience.
If you let me in.
Flavia, we see and hear you.
Yes, you look good.
Thank you. All right, I think I'm in.
I'm marking you as present. We have quorum.
Sorry
Excellent.
about that, old computer.
We have no communications to speak of. Run through this old business really quickly. We've got the approval of the minutes from the June 20th, 2024 meeting. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review them in advance. Can I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Is that Flavia?
Yes, we have a motion. Can I
Thank
have a
you.
second on that?
I'll second.
Motion and a second.
Joanne?
Any
Okay,
question?
Sophie. Oops. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Any question? No question. All those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? At the same right? Minutes are accepted as presented. Thank you. Moving on to our new business. New Jersey Transit is the applicant. Essex County, Bloomfield Township, the Bloomfield Railroad Station. Project is the rehabilitation and accessibility enhancement project at Bloomfield. Staff, can we hear from you, please?
Hi, I am Megan Barata with New Jersey Historic Preservation Office. This is the Bloomfield Railroad Station. Let me share my screen. Here you go. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So New Jersey Transit has requested authorization to rehabilitate the Bloomfield Railroad Station, which it operates, to bring the station complex into a state of good repair and to provide American with Disability Act accessibility compliance to station passengers. The Bloomfield Railroad Station is listed on the New Jersey and National Register of Historic Places under the Operating Passenger Railroad Stations thematic resource, and it is a key contributing resource to the National Register eligible Montclair branch of the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad Historic District. The nomination for the Bloomfield Railroad Station was completed in 1984. The station was listed for its significance in the areas of architecture, engineering, and transportation. The Bloomfield Railroad Station was designed by the DL&W Railroad architect Frank Neese, with possible involvement from the staff member architect William Hull Bolsford, and completed in 1912. The Bloomfield Railroad Station was built as part of a larger, earlier 20th century grade crossing elimination project undertaken by the DL&W Railroad along its Montclair branch. The Bloomfield Railroad Station is an approximately 2.4-acre complex located in Bloomfield Township, Essex County, on the west side of Lackawanna Place between Washington Street to the north and Glenwood Avenue to the south. The property is composed of an east outbound station building and a west inbound passenger station that overlooks elevated tracks with platforms and concrete wing canopies along both sides. The station complex was built using reinforced concrete and was constructed in such a way that the station buildings are structurally integrated with the platforms and canopies. The outbound station building and inbound passenger station are linked by an underground stairs at the north and south ends of the complex provide access to and from the platforms from the street level. Currently, the outbound station building and pedestrian tunnel are closed to the public. The waiting room with inbound passenger station remains open and both platforms are accessible to rail passengers. As described in the nomination, Bloomfield Railroad Station is an exceptional architectural and engineering achievement that distinguishes itself from other early 20th century DL&W Railroad suburban stations for its innovative and artful use of ferroconcrete and as a distinguished example of proto-modern architecture that includes Beaux-Arts elements. The manipulation of the materials and fittings is unique to the station and exhibits an honest expression of the material, sparing use of ornamentation and careful consideration of the massing parts. This shows the outbound passenger station. The original nomination was completed in 1984 and did not identify character-defining features of the station. The HPO agrees with the applicant's consultant that some significant architectural design elements of the Bloomfield Railroad Station consist of the following: the overall footprint, massing, and orientation of the station buildings, pedestrian tunnel, platforms, canopies, and stairs, all of which contribute to the architectural significance of the entire railroad complex. Any surviving original historic materials, including the glazed brick in the pedestrian tunnel and poured-in-place concrete elements that feature a mix of exposed aggregate and smooth finishes, the half butterfly canopy design at the inbound and outbound platforms, poured-in-place concrete, overall fenestration pattern, glazed rookwood tile ornamentation on concrete exterior walls, gable roof lined with parapet gable ends, clay roofing tiles on the outbound station, riveted metal canopy on the outbound station, arch porte cochere at the outbound station, concrete embankment wall with terrace ramps. On the interior and outbound station building, the significant architectural features include any remaining original interior historic fabrics such as terrazzo flooring, staircase and wood sash windows framings, as well as the overall circulation pattern. The station canopies on the inbound and outbound platforms consist of multi-bay, poured-in-place concrete columns supporting a half butterfly canopy concrete roof covered with the non-original membrane. The inbound platform canopy is 25 bays long and the outbound platform canopy measures 11 bays long. The canopies are structurally integrated into the facade. Concrete balustrades matching the design of the outbound station terrace balustrade are present between the columns on both canopies. Presently, the platforms on both sides of the station are at the same elevation as the tracks. The platform features concrete paving within the limits of the canopies and the asphalt paving at the outer ends of the platform. Concrete stairs on the north and south ends of the inbound and outbound platforms provide access to and from the street level. The project is being funded through the New Jersey Debt Defeasance and Prevention Fund. It has set aside $48 million for improvements at Bloomfield Railroad Station. Bloomfield Railroad Station is currently owned by Bloomfield Township. Bloomfield Township and New Jersey Transit are currently in negotiations for New Jersey Transit to take ownership of the property. To date, no formal agreement has been signed between Bloomfield Township and New Jersey Transit regarding the transfer of ownership of Bloomfield Railroad Station. The station requires various state of good repair and site improvements to the grounds, station buildings, platforms, and pedestrian tunnel. The station also requires modifications for compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. New Jersey Transit's preference for full accessibility includes providing level boarding via high-level platforms for the full length of the station's inbound and outbound platforms. The outbound station building and pedestrian underpass tunnel connecting the inbound and outbound station buildings are dilapidated from years of neglect and in poor condition. The outbound building and underpass tunnel are currently closed to the public. They require extensive rehabilitation to bring them into a state of good repair and to allow them to be reopened for public circulation. The grounds and retaining walls on the outbound side of the station, as well as the concrete stairs and retaining walls at either end of the platform on both sides of the station, also require restoration. New Jersey Transit hired Jablonski Building Conservation, JBC, to assist in determining the scope of work for rehabilitation. JBC recommended the following scope of work in order to meet the standards. Roof replacement matching the original roof profile will be installed. New gutters, flashing, and copper leaders will be provided. Concrete repair and cleaning, cracks and spalls will be repaired. Patching materials will be custom mixed to match the original color, texture, and strength. Window and door replacement. Windows and doors will be wood, matching the original profile or profiles of doors and windows in the inbound station building. Cast iron canopy replication, restoration at street level. All cast iron to be scraped and painted. A new clay tile roof will be installed at the canopy. Proper flashing and drainage at the juncture with the concrete building will be provided. Exterior tile repair and replacement. Cracked, loose, or spall tiles will be removed and replaced with new tile matching the original in colors, size, and shape. The new tiles will be installed to match the original patterning and layout. Interior work on plaster and wood finishes at walls and ceilings. Terrazzo flooring at platform level and quarry floor terrazzo flooring at street level will be repaired and refinished. The following exterior project elements are part of the preferred alternative as submitted by New Jersey Transit and do not meet the standards. The historic inbound and outbound low-level platforms are proposed to be demolished. A new high-level cast-in-place concrete platform is proposed to be installed at 4 foot 3 inches above the top of rail on both the inbound and outbound tracks. The increase in height would put the new platform high above the existing historic balustrade. A landing well would be created in front of the existing inbound station buildings, doors, and at the platform level. The well landing would be necessary to provide access between the existing inbound station waiting room and the new high-level platform. This landing is similar to the configuration at the entrance to Newark Broad Street Station. New ADA compliant stairs would be provided on the north side of the landing, and a new ADA accessible ramp would be provided on the south side of the inbound station, south of the station complex. The existing platform canopies will be removed and replaced with structural steel and metal canopies to allow for increased headroom clearance because of the 5 foot 3 inch change in height of the platform. 4 foot 3 inch change in height of the platform. New Jersey Transit states that the proposed new canopy roof would be a similar half butterfly shape as the existing canopy, but the material will not be the same. In front of the outbound station building, new canopy columns will be placed only in front of the existing baggage room and express room to avoid the existing column foundations, which are integral with the building wall and must be left in place, as well as to avoid the pedestrian tunnel. In front of the inbound station building, the new canopy columns will align with the existing columns. To avoid conflict with the existing column foundations, the new canopy columns will be supported on platform girders whose foundation are offset from the existing column foundations. At the inbound and outbound station building, the height of the elevator would be taller than the existing station building. In addition, the proposed canopy at this location would be a full butterfly shape and made of metal instead of concrete. On both sides of the outbound station building, the high-level platform would extend back beyond existing platform limits to the terrace in order to provide a connection to the building opening on the south exterior wall leading to the elevator on the north exterior wall leading to the stairs. Ultimately, the demolition of the platform and integrated canopies will have a negative impact on the entire historic design of the station and will therefore diminish the architectural integrity of the resource. By demolishing and raising the platform, the track-facing side of the outbound building will be filled with concrete block and thereby filling in openings for windows and doors. This change will also impact the canopies and entrance stairs and impact the floor heights and circulation pattern of the building's interior terrace level. The historic balustrade on the inbound station side will be demolished, and the addition required for the installation of the elevator will affect the gable roofline and parapet gable ends. The following proposed interior scope in the preferred alternative at the outbound station building does not meet the standards. The circulation pattern on the interior of the inbound building will be distinctly altered. The stairs will be removed and relocated. Existing interior building walls will have to be demolished to accommodate the new elevator shaft. As proposed on the ground floor, some existing interior building walls will have to be demolished to accommodate the new elevator shaft, and most of the vestibule space at the ground floor will be sectioned off with block wall to separate the electrical panel from the public access and to create new electrical distribution. The baggage room will be used for the elevator structure, and the remaining space in the baggage room west of the elevator will be closed off on the block wall with a block wall and used for storage by New Jersey Transit. The existing interior stairs will be repaired and refinished with the layout revised. The lower, longer run of stairs will continue in the east-west direction. The treads and risers will be evaluated for ADA compliance and may be reconfigured if required. At the top, landing and opening will be made in the existing building wall from the waiting room to the vestibule north of the main entrance, which is the express room. An additional stair run and landing platform will be added within the express room to bring the floor elevation up to the new high-level platform elevation. The platform will extend from the stairs to the existing wall openings at the north facade that is currently boarded up and closed off to the outdoors. The wall opening may need to be enlarged to accommodate the higher floor elevation. Any remaining unused space in the express room will be cordoned off with a block wall. A new landing with full butterfly canopy structure abutting the station building's north exterior wall will connect the platform to the express room to the higher level platform. The existing waiting area on the second floor of the outbound station building will be separated from the stairs with a block wall to avoid creating a large loitering space. Since the station building will need to remain open during all hours of station operation. Instead, this space will be turned into the new communication room with access from the terrace via the existing opening to the east wall through the block wall via the existing short stair run to remain in the intermediate stair landing. The door on the east exterior wall will be replaced and turned into a secure door for New Jersey Transit personnel access only. A secure door for New Jersey Transit personnel access only will also be installed in the block wall at the top of the short stair run. At the time of this application, a structural assessment of the station, specifically an assessment of the station canopies proposed for removal, has not been conducted. According to the application, the proposed removal of the existing station canopies is not due to structural integrity of the capacity issues. Rather, the design of the proposed project comprises the removal of the existing canopies and replacement with new canopies in order to meet the intended project purpose. The inbound passenger station underwent extensive renovations in approximately 2008. The application states that rehabilitation work to this building under the preferred alternative would be limited to its exterior and otherwise be limited to the removal of overgrown vegetation and concrete repairs. However, the work on the interior of the building is incomplete to date, and is still being developed because New Jersey Transit is trying to determine whether or not to install restroom facilities in this building. The red line here shows where the height of the new high-level platform would be to explain how the change to the exterior and the interior of the building would be. In a technical assistance letter from the HPO to New Jersey Transit, the HPO provided the following guidance for ADA accessibility: that USDOT FTA gives guidance for ADA review, level boarding, and between car barrier for commuter rail. It describes the review, analysis, recommendation procedures, and reporting requirements expected by Federal Transit Administration and the project management oversight contractor regarding recipients' compliance with level boarding and between car barrier provisions of the regulations issued by the U.S. Department of Transportation. New or altered stations serving commuter, intercity, or high-speed rail lines or systems in which track passing through station and adjacent to platforms is shared with existing freight rail operations. The railroad operator may comply with the performance standards by using one-on-one or the following means: level entry boarding, car-borne lifts, bridge plates, ramps, or other appropriate devices. Mini-high platforms with multiple mini-high platforms or multiple train stops as needed to permit access to all accessible cars available at the stations, or station-based lifts. Although New Jersey Transit itself does not carry freight, New Jersey Transit allows freight service to be operated over its lines. Thus provision can apply at Bloomfield Station because track passing through the station and adjacent to platforms is shared with freight rail operations. Thus, New Jersey Transit has additional prudent and feasible alternatives to consider that would ultimately avoid and/or minimize impacts to the historic fabric of the station. Mini-highs or multiple mini-high platforms could potentially be a solution. Stantec, the project consultant, inquired of New Jersey Transit as to whether Bloomfield Railroad Station is subject to freight train traffic. New Jersey Transit responded that there is no regularly scheduled freight traffic at the station, but the potential for freight service to come through the station does exist, and it is part of the Dover and Delaware River Railroad, which is wholly owned subsidiary of Chesapeake and Delaware LLC. The Dover and Delaware River Railroad is a short line railroad operating along 109 miles of track in the northern part of New Jersey between Phillipsburg and Newark. It was created in 2019 to take over local freight operations from trackage rights along New Jersey Transit's Morristown Line, Montclair Boonton Line, and Gladstone Branch. Bloomfield Railroad Station is located along the Montclair Boonton Line. The Department of Transportation's ADA standards for transportation facilities from 2006 applies to facilities used by state and local government to provide designated public transportation services, including bus stops and stations and rail stations. Provision 202.5, alterations to qualified historic buildings and facilities, is outlined as follows. State historic preservation officers are state-appointed officials who carry out certain responsibilities under the National Historic Preservation Act. State historic preservation officers consult with federal and state agencies, local governments, and private entities on providing access and protecting significant elements of qualified historic buildings and facilities. When an entity believes that compliance with the requirements for any of these elements would threaten or destroy historic significance of the building or facility, the entity should consult with the state historic preservation officer. If the state historic preservation officer agrees that compliance with the requirements for a specific element would threaten or destroy the historic significance of the building or facility, use of the exception is permitted. Public entities have an additional obligation to achieve program accessibility under the Department of Justice ADA regulations. See 28 CFR 35.150. These regulations require public entities that operate historic preservation programs to give priority to methods to provide physical access to individuals with disabilities. If alterations to a qualified historic building or facility to achieve program accessibility would threaten or destroy the historic significance of the building or facility, fundamentally alter the program, or result in undue financial or administrative burdens, the Department of Justice ADA regulations allows alternative methods to be used to achieve program accessibility. In the case of historic preservation programs, such as a historic house museum, alternative methods include using audiovisual materials to depict portions of the house that cannot otherwise be made accessible. In the case of qualified historic preservation properties, such as historic government office buildings, alternative methods include relocating programs and services to accessible locations. The Department of Justice ADA regulations also allows public entities to use alternative methods when altering qualified historic buildings or facilities in rare situations where the State Historic Preservation Officer determines that it is not feasible to provide physical access using the exceptions permitted in Section 202.5 without threatening or destroying the historic significance of the building or facility. See 28 CFR 35.151D. There are currently many high platforms at several New Jersey Transit-owned historic stations, including Madison, South Orange, and East Orange. New Jersey Transit installed these many high platforms between 2004 and 2007. The adjacent rail lines at these stations are owned by New Jersey Transit. The public benefit of the proposed project is to provide adequate ADA accessibility, rehabilitate the station as a contribution to the revitalization of the surrounding neighborhood. New Jersey Transit considered the following 8 alternatives. Alternative 1, no build. In this alternative, New Jersey Transit considered a no build option. In this alternative, there would be no direct physical effects to Bloomfield Railroad Station. New Jersey Transit decided that this alternative would not meet the project purpose to improve passenger experience or address the need for ADA accessibility, nor repair or restore any of the historical features of the station, leaving the already significant state of disrepair conditions present to deteriorate further. Alternative 2, mini maxi high platforms. In this alternative, New Jersey Transit considered ramps, otherwise known as mini high platforms, and larger ramps the size of a train car or longer. The project scope in this alternative includes retaining existing outbound canopy, and a majority of the inbound canopy would be retained except for the ends of the canopy. Existing platforms under the existing canopies would remain. Existing platforms beyond the ends of the existing canopy would be replaced with mini high or maxi high level platforms. Ramps and stairs would connect the existing platforms and high level platforms. New elevators would provide accessible routes level to existing platform levels. Landings with roofs would be added for access from the top elevator stops to platforms. Stairs at the ends of the platform would be renovated and extended to the new platform, and existing areas of the station building would be rehabilitated. According to the application, this alternative does not accomplish New Jersey Transit's goals for accessibility with level entry boarding for the full length of the station's inbound and outbound platforms because it limits passengers with mobility needs to only 2 cars on the train. And according to New Jersey Transit, is a considerable distance to the accessible path into and out of the station. According to New Jersey Transit, it also creates the potential for a false expectation of level of disembarkment, and the mini maxi high platforms would have no shelter. The HPO requested information regarding whether or not it would be possible to move the elevator to be adjacent to the high level platform, and whether or not New Jersey Transit would consider installing canopies at the high level platform, and where the ADA parking will be located for passengers utilizing the station. According to New Jersey Transit's consultant, if the team were to proceed with the mini maxi high platforms, it would be possible to move the elevator away from the building and closer to the mini maxi high platforms and add canopies to the elevated platforms, but their design would need to follow New Jersey Transit's preferences. Additionally, all parking is in the garage across the street from the outbound building. There are no plans to add ADA parking spots to the project. There is no clear ADA path from the street to the platform. Estimated project cost for this alternative is $34.2 million and is $13.8 million under budget. This alternative meets the project purpose and need while retaining the historic integrity of the station complex and is the most appropriate design under the standards. Alternative 3, shifting the platform location. In this alternative, the New Jersey Transit proposed to shift the platform location so that a high-level platform equal to the length of the existing platform would be provided either north or south of the existing location of the station, and the platform with a ramp providing access underneath the existing canopies. This alternative was not fully explored because it would require land acquisitions, making it an infeasible alternative due to cost. Project cost was not estimated. Alternative 4, raising the existing canopy. In this alternative, the existing canopy would be raised. This alternative would include cutting the existing canopies at the columns, lifting them in place and elongating the columns, and reattaching the canopies. This alternative was dismissed due to engineering and cost concerns. Project cost was not estimated. Alternative 5, blending existing and proposed canopies. In this alternative, and as noted in the application, New Jersey Transit proposes to replace a section of the existing concrete canopy with new steel canopies. Most of the historic canopy would remain with reduced platform area below. This alternative would retain the existing canopies, except at access points to the elevator and stairs with the new raised canopy bays at these locations. The existing platforms would remain under the existing canopies. Beyond the end of the existing canopies, a new full-width, high-level platform would be added beyond the ends of the existing canopies and under the existing canopies. New partial width, high-level platforms towards the boarding side of the platform would be added. New elevators would be installed to provide accessible routes from street level to high-level platforms. The massing of the existing outbound building would be raised to accommodate the hoistway requirements. The stairs would be renovated at the ends of the platforms and extended up to the new platforms. Existing areas of the station building would be rehabilitated, and the existing platform areas would remain under the canopies, but would be the existing platform areas would remain under existing canopies, but would be inaccessible. In this scenario, the majority of the existing canopies remain and a portion of the existing platforms remain. The full length of the platform would be usable for passengers boarding and exiting levels within the existing station buildings, and the existing station buildings remain largely intact. New Jersey Transit finds this option of partial width platform would create obstructive views and provide too narrow of a platform and no amenities, and include benches or trash receptacles would be able to be placed, and no benches or trash receptacles would be able to be placed along the partial width platform, thus creating safety concerns for passengers. Estimated project cost for this alternative is $52.1 million and is $4.1 million over budget. Alternative 6, existing canopy removal without replacement. In this alternative, New Jersey Transit proposes to completely demolish the existing historic canopy with no new canopy installed. New Jersey Transit acknowledges that the drawback in this alternative is that passengers would not have shelter on the platform, thereby reducing passenger comfort and experience compared to the existing station condition. Estimated project cost for this alternative is $51.9 million and is $2.9 million over budget. Alternative 7, full canopy replacement. In this alternative, New Jersey Transit proposes to demolish the existing canopy and replace it with a new steel canopy to maintain the existing canopy coverage at both platforms. The existing platforms and canopies would be replaced in their entirety with high-level platforms and higher canopies. New elevators and ramps would provide accessible routes from street level to raised platform level. The massing of the existing building would be altered to accommodate the hoistway requirements in the outbound station building. The landings with roofs would be added for access from the top of the elevator stops to the platforms, and the waiting room at the inbound platform would remain at lower level with a ramp and stair to the raised platform. The stairs at the ends of the platform would be renovated and extended up to the new platforms, and the existing areas of the station building would be renovated. No analysis was given as to the benefits or deficiency of this alternative. The estimated project cost for this alternative is $59.3 million and is $11 million over budget. Alternative 8, partial canopy replacement. This is New Jersey Transit's preferred alternative. In this alternative, New Jersey Transit proposes to demolish the existing concrete canopy and replace it with a new steel canopy with 30% coverage at the inbound platform and 15% coverage at the outbound platform. New elevators and ramps would provide accessible routes from street level to raised platform level. The massing of the existing building would be raised at the outbound station building to accommodate the elevator hoistway requirements, and landings with the roof would be added to access from top elevator stops to platform. The waiting room at the inbound platform would remain at the lower level with a ramp and stairs to the raised platform. The stairs at the ends of the platform would be extended up to the new platforms. All other existing areas of the station building would be renovated. No deficiency in this plan was provided by New Jersey Transit. The estimated project cost is $54.3 million and is $6.3 million over budget. This is the applicant's preferred alternative. On July 31st, 2024, HPO learned of Amtrak stations that use MobiLift CX, a multi-purpose wheelchair lift that can be wheeled by train conductors to the train car where it is needed, thus enabling every train car to be accessible without negatively impacting the architectural integrity of the historic resource. On August 1st, 2024, HPO staff shared MobiLift CX platform brochure with New Jersey Transit staff for consideration in this project design. HPO staff has not received a response as to whether or not this alternative was viable at this station. New Jersey Transit has proposed the following measures to mitigate the encroachment. HPO review and consultation. We would conduct consultation with New Jersey HPO to ensure the design of the proposed project is guided by and responsive to the standards to the extent feasible, to ensure the design, character, materials, qualities, and workmanship of the rehabilitated Bloomfield Railroad Station are compatible to the historic and architectural character of the overall station complex. As part of design consultation, the NJHPO would be provided an opportunity to review the design plans at 30, 60, and 90% stages of design development, as well as review the 100% design package prior to the initiation of the construction bidding process. Interpretive signage. Develop interpretive signage or display that would interpret the history and significance of the Bloomfield Railroad Station. The design and layout and content in the interpretive signage or display would be determined in consultation with the NJHPO and New Jersey Transit. Possible content themes may include, but not be limited to, the architectural significance of the Bloomfield Railroad Station, the station architect Frank Neese, and the DL&W Railroad and its innovative use of concrete, both for Bloomfield Railroad Station and system-wide as part of its grade crossing elimination project. The interpretive signage or display would be installed in a publicly accessible location, subject to heavy pedestrian traffic within the station complex. The exact placement of the signage or display would be determined in consultation with the NJHPO. Documentation. New Jersey Transit shall document the existing conditions and setting of the Bloomfield Railroad Station in accordance with Level 3 standards of the Historic American Building Survey, or HABS, as prescribed by the National Park Service, using digital photography prior to the removal, demolition, or alteration of any
Megan?
components. Yeah,
Sorry, just someone
that's
asked,
fine.
are you intending to progress the slides, or you mean to leave the
No,
slide
this
up?
is that I'm reading is what New Jersey Transit, but thank you, Sophia, for asking, is what New Jersey Transit is proposing to us. So it's HABS Level 3, and then the last one is a model of Bloomfield Railroad Station. So this is all in your resolution. New Jersey Transit proposes to design and fabricate a three-dimensional model of the original Bloomfield Railroad Station to be placed on permanent display within the interior of one of the station buildings to document and preserve the original design of the architecturally significant station. Development of the model could be informed by laser scanning of the railroad station and review of available original drawings for the station complex. The model could be accommodated by an interpretive display and are combined with the recommended mitigation measures for an interpretive signage or display. In addition to the physical three-dimensional model, A digital model of the Bloomfield Railroad Station is recommended to be designed and made available on a publicly available website that would also include other interpretive materials to detail the architectural and historical significance of the station and its architect and the DL&W Railroad. The other interpretive material could include, but not be limited to, historic photographs, images, illustrations, drawings, and other digital media that facilitate documenting and detailing the station's history and significance. So that is all mitigation that New Jersey Transit is proposing. The HPO, we recommend to the Sites Council that based upon the above findings, recommend that the project be denied for the following reasons. Feasible and prudent alternatives to the encroachment exist while meeting New Jersey Transit project goal. The applicant provided one alternative. Alternative two, that's the use of mini maxi high platforms. That would limit the changes to the historic station, leaving the massing, size, scale, and existing fabric of the station intact. The station is defined as an exceptional architectural and engineering achievement for its innovative and artful use of ferroconcrete and a distinguished example of proto-modern architecture. HPO staff shared with New Jersey Transit staff information about the Moby Lift, a multi-purpose wheelchair lift that appears to be a possible solution to meet both the standards and New Jersey Transit's goal of ADA accessibility in any train car. New Jersey Transit did not reply as to whether a multi-purpose wheelchair lift is a viable solution. Sufficient measures have not been taken to avoid, reduce, or mitigate the encroachment. The demolition of the platforms and the integrated canopies will have a negative effect on the entire historic design of the station and will therefore diminish the architectural integrity of this resource. By demolishing and raising the platform, the track-facing side of the outbound building will be permanently altered. The change will also impact the canopies and entrance stairs, impact the floor heights and circulation patterns of the building's interior and terrace level. The historic balustrade of the inbound station side would be demolished, and the addition required for the installation of the elevator will affect the gable roof lines and parapet gable ends. The destruction of the historic integrity of the station could be avoided while meeting the project goals by using mini and maxi-high platforms or a multi-purpose wheelchair lift. The public benefit of the proposed undertaking could be achieved with an alternative approach that would have less impact on the architectural integrity of the historic resource. The mini maxi-high platform alternative and the multi-purpose wheelchair lift both would serve project need. The multi-purpose wheelchair lift was not included as an alternative by the applicant, but does provide full platform access and serves the project purpose. Do you have any questions for the HPO? Can I stop sharing?
I don't have any questions.
So I'm trying to understand this. So you're recommending the staff is recommending denial of the application as submitted.
I don't know if we got that. Did we get that far? Megan froze. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
I hear you, yes.
Okay, I think, Kate, I think Megan froze.
Megan
She may have,
froze.
she may have to sign out and sign back in.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Chair, yes, the recommendation according to the current resolution is that the current application be denied.
Sorry, I knocked myself out. Yes.
Several reasons. Megan, your video is still frozen.
Oh,
At
I'm
least-
trying to. I'm not sharing though, right?
Everybody else's.
Can you hear me through that?
I can hear you, but
I
you're.
can hear you, yes.
Is she
Do you want me to
frozen on
try
your
leaving
screen?
and coming back?
Yeah, that probably would be
Okay,
best.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I had a question too when she comes back about this mechanical means of accessing the train. I don't know whether any
So Those lifts are used at every Amtrak station. They are operated by the train conductor, typically, and they are not, I could say, powered. They are kind of like, it's like a crank, type thing. But Amtrak uses them across the country at all of their stations. So it is not an atypical method to provide access for those that need accessible means to board trains.
So there is no electrical power that is necessary for these. So then
No.
you don't need a backup or anything.
That's correct. You do not.
How easy or difficult are they to operate? I know if they're mechanical, that means they're going to take a lot of maintenance too to keep them
They actually
operational.
don't. No.
No?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know if
We're
Megan
waiting.
came back, but she's still frozen on my screen.
She's still frozen on mine too. There
Oh,
she is.
she's back. Okay. We see you. You're not frozen anymore. No, now
I'm
you're
not
on mute
frozen
still.
Now
No, you're
you're
not.
muted.
You're not frozen anymore. You're back.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Do you have any questions for me? Or
Bob has a question for you, or
Well, I
Kristen Chair
had
has a question for you.
I had a question. I like Bob better.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I had a question about these mechanical lifts. I'm not familiar with them personally, but as I have been told, I understand they're not, they're manually operated. They're not electrically operated, and so that a backup power source would not be required. That's what I was thinking.
That's my understanding. And my understanding is that it takes 20 seconds to lift it up, and it can be wheeled to whatever car is it's needed at. So that would, in our observation of these lifts, that would take care of Transit's concern that if someone wants to go in the second car and they can do that, and the lift can be moved by the staff that, like the conductors of the train.
So the conductor would get off the train, move the lift, and then operate it up or down.
That's
That's
my
how that
That's
understanding.
correct. Yeah. So, and as a disclosure, I am a project manager for Amtrak and for some of the ADA program. And again, like these lifts are, it is not the only solution. It is one solution of a few, as Megan stated. Many highs are Mr. Urlano, can you please turn off your camera? This only ones that should have their cameras on at the moment are those that are on council. So it is not the only solution for Amtrak. It's their solution to board passengers, because Amtrak also has, a similar policy, which is they want passengers to be able to load onto any train. And so that allows for passengers to board any train that's, board any car that they choose to sit in. I will also say that sometimes that's just not possible. We sometimes arrive at stations depending on their locations, and sometimes the train has to, sort of move itself. It'll stop once and then, or like it'll do a double stop to let people on and off. That also happens as well. Mini highs are another solution for boarding passengers. So there's not just one solution. There needs to be a kit of solutions to sort of help balance the need to board ADA, passengers, but also to sort of balance the respect of the historic building and, what can be done to design a platform so that it's not only compatible with the nature of the property, but also to allow the ADA boarding that's required for the trains. Does that make sense? So,
Yes.
you know, Amtrak, and this is not about Amtrak, not at all. But Amtrak, just for reference, Amtrak owns very little of where they service, so that's their solution, is that they have these little mini highs. Excuse me, they have these lifts that they use. They sit in a little enclosure. They don't take up much space. You know, the conductors know how to use them. They get off the train. They unlock the little shed at the end. They wheel them over. It happens. And they all know how to use it. It's not, but that is the method that Amtrak has put into place. But Megan also indicated that I believe along this line, the use of mini highs is not the exception. I mean, there are other stations along this line. I think, Megan, did you say that? Is it this line or is it a different line? You're still on mute.
Sorry, this line.
There are other
Another
locations along this line that is using mini highs. So it's not like this would be the only location where mini highs would be used. They're already existing in other locations. So just something to think about.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions for staff from council? Hearing none, can we proceed with the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Hi, Bob.
Good
Is
morning,
this
everyone. This is Sadar Khan. I'm a project manager on this project. Are we allowed to proceed for our presentation?
Yes, please do.
All right. Thank you very much. I would like to say quickly something that we really appreciate and express our sincere appreciation for SHPO staff and historic preservation chair and council member for your valuable advice, guidance on this project. New Jersey Transit is very much excited to move forward with the essential capital improvement needed to modernize the station and bring it to a state of good repair, which is a key project of New Jersey Transit 5-year capital program. We will present an overview of our preferred design, which already been discussed in detail, and one of our design consultant team member will present. So with that, I would request Chris Stantec team to present that one. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Sidar. My name is Chris Sherlano. I'm the project manager from Stantec, who's the design consultant for New Jersey Transit for this project. And we thank the Historic Sites Council for the opportunity to present today. Some of what we'll present here has already been presented by Megan, so we'll try to get through this fairly quickly and keep to the allotted time. When we talked about the project goals for New Jersey Transit, ultimately the real goal of this project is to improve accessibility, passenger experience, as well as operational efficiency through modernizing the station. So that starts with one, bringing the station into a state of good repair. It also allows for us to reopen the outbound station building and pedestrian tunnel, which are currently closed to the public and not publicly accessible. It is to provide level boarding along the entire platform length, which will allow for the equitable treatment of people with accessibility needs. It creates the addition of vertical circulation elements, elevators and ramps that provide ADA accessible egress. We'll make sure that we're going to comply with all applicable codes included to, but not limited to, the latest IBC New Jersey code and the latest ADA standards for accessible design. We are looking to preserve the historic significance of the station where possible, provide canopy coverage to at least the minimum level described by New Jersey Transit's commuter rail station guidelines and standard manual. And ultimately, by modernizing the station, we're helping to contribute to the revitalization of the neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood, by improving connectivity to other modes of transportation. There's a lot of transit-oriented development going on currently in the surrounding community of Bloomfield. When we talk about this, sort of what we're really looking for is how can we provide equal access for all while also creating a best-in-class design at this station. We've seen this photo already from the previous presentation. Just to show you again some photos of the existing station. You have the outbound building here as viewed from the parking garage across Lackawanna Place, where we can see that the outbound building is in a state of disrepair. Some photos of the interior shots of the outbound building. The left and middle photos are rooms on the platform level of the building, and the photo on the right here is looking east out the door towards Lackawanna Place of the vestibule area on the ground floor level of the outbound station building. Just some general photos showing the platform, canopy, one set of the stairs at one end of the platform. We have some photos of the existing canopy, which you can see has had some deterioration. It's been patched in certain places, and there's other places where there's spalling and cracking that are showing additional signs of deterioration to the concrete. This is just one photo looking at the outbound station building, trackside elevation from the inbound platform. You can see here as well that the openings and access points to that building have been boarded up, as the outbound station building is not publicly accessible. You can see here the shot of the inbound station building and one of the doors that provides entry into the inbound waiting room. So what's the real challenge? We've kind of already brought it up in the previous presentation, but how are we going to provide level boarding throughout the station without destroying the historic character of its original construction? And there's really two alternatives. The first one is we can provide that level boarding, but it will require the need to alter or replace the historic platform and canopies, or we can provide limited level boarding, but not level boarding throughout the station in order to preserve the historic platform and canopy. If you start looking at options such as the mini high platform, what that ultimately can do is create reduced platform boarding. You're going to have mini highs at one or other ends of the station. When you talk about accessibility, you're talking about not just necessarily wheelchair bound passengers, but folks who may have strollers or luggage who are going to default to using the high level platforms at either end of the station. You may also have folks who just don't want to climb a set of stairs to board the train. And what you end up having is bunching on the platform, and folks who are being sort of hoarded to certain areas in order to board or disembark the train. Whereas if you have full platform boarding, you're able to spread out the passengers on the train while they wait to board an incoming train. This really speaks to both functionality, all of the above here, functionality, customer experience, and safety. We talked a little bit about this, was brought up. There are some parameters and excerpts from the FTA about providing level entry boarding or exceptions to this if freight rail is potentially operated or is operated on the line. All of these bullet points were discussed previously by Megan. However, when we look at this, we look at this and interpret this as level entry boarding is listed first. And so therefore, if you look at it that way, you could interpret this to mean if there's an opportunity to find a way to provide level entry boarding, it should be done. And if it's not possible or feasible, then you can look at these other opportunities that will not necessarily provide level entry boarding throughout the station, but will provide some form of ADA compliance. We talked about the platform considerations, and really I think this image here on the left is something to help illustrate our concerns about putting a high level platform in while retaining the existing canopy structure. You could see here that raising that platform approximately 4 feet ends up reducing the circulation width significantly on the platform to less than 5 feet when you consider that the 2-foot warning strip is really not an area that should be used by passengers for circulation due to safety issues with trains passing through the station or even trains arriving and departing the station. You also have limited visibility that's caused by the cantilever beams that are supporting the roof, and you create pinch points here that can create safety concerns as well as visibility concerns. We did look at these ADA exceptions, and 202.5 was already discussed by Megan in her previous presentation. So we did understand that there are exceptions that can be considered for stations that have historic significance or are on this list of registered historic places. We went through the alternatives, so I won't go through these in too much detail. This is just a brief overview of those 8 alternatives that Megan previously discussed in more detail. We'll focus really on number 8, which is the preferred alternative we're bringing forth to you today, which is the partial canopy replacement. So under this alternative, here's just sort of an updated rendering that shows both sides of the station. Again, this meets the minimum canopy coverages that are outlined in New Jersey Transit's guidelines and standards manual. It does allow for a state of good repair to be achieved in the outbound building and pedestrian tunnel. It's going to achieve all the stated project goals because it will allow for high-level platforms to be installed throughout for the full length of the station. It's a lower cost alternative than the full canopy replacement as was previously demonstrated. Obviously, there is a drawback in that you need to remove the historic canopies and platforms to do this, but given that we are proposing a canopy option that that in some ways replicates the look of the butterfly canopy effect, the butterfly canopy that's currently there, that's reinforced concrete. So, why does this ultimately provide the best passenger experience? This rendering here on the right sort of should be compared against the rendering we previously showed. By raising the canopy, putting in a new canopy, you created a circulation width that exceeds 12 feet. It's very similar. Currently out at the station with the low-level platform, but it's providing level entry boarding throughout. There's no need for passengers with accessibility needs to worry about where they're located, where they're boarding or disembarking the train. And then, besides the circulation improvements, we are still providing state of good repair to the historic buildings and the tunnel, which have fallen into a state of disrepair and are currently not used by any station passengers. So just, in conclusion, why is Alternative 8 the preferred concept for New Jersey Transit? It's going to implement best safety practices. It's, implicitly level boarding is just safer. And if you can do that throughout the station, you're creating the safest possible boarding and disembarking opportunities for all passengers. It provides better passenger experience through cumulative improvements. There's going to be better lighting and you're going to make sure that there's not a claustrophobic feel that comes with keeping an existing canopy but raising the high level platform. You're providing a modern station design that exceeds the minimum code requirements, and that's something that New Jersey Transit really wants to emphasize here. When they talk about best in class, it's not just about meeting the minimum code. Sure, mini high platform, maybe that is meeting the minimum code, but to modernize the station, to create really a best in class design, you don't want to rely on a mini high platform. You want to have a station where no matter where anyone boards, they're going to have level boarding. Level boarding also improves rail operation efficiency. It was brought up about the Mobi lift, and we can discuss that in more detail. But the reality is using a Mobi lift actually will slow down rail operation efficiency, slow down train times, because it will take longer for people who have accessibility needs to board the train. Amtrak, understanding that they use those, but when Amtrak pulls into a station, it's very typical that there are longer dwell times. On a commuter rail station, New Jersey, the idea is to board and disembark people as efficiently as possible, not to have to go to great lengths to have to bring over a lift and take upwards of a few minutes to board or deboard a person using a Mobi lift. It also resets the structural lifespan of the station. The station's over 100 years old. We're going to go back and bring a lot of the components into a state of good repair, but we're also going to put in a new canopy that, you don't have to have concerns down the line about what the condition of the current canopy is. And again, we are going to rehabilitate historic elements that are used for station operations. Ultimately, in New Jersey Transit's mind, when we speak about equity for those with accessibility needs, equity is really boarding wherever you please. So with that, I thank the opportunity for us to present in front of the council, and we're open to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Chris. Mr. Chair, I would like to request, we have our Senior Vice President, New Jersey Transit Capital Program. I would like to say a few comments, if with your permission.
You're on mute, sir.
Apologies. You can proceed.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for the opportunity. I just want to say we really appreciate the opportunity to present here today. This station isn't something that we got as part of New Jersey Transit. It was abandoned before we were incorporated, and we were lucky enough that town was willing to work with us, and we were lucky enough over 40 in the state to put into accessibility improvements at the station. It's one that's been on my bucket list to take care of for a while, so I'm really happy that we can add it to the list of other stations that we've done significant work on. including Newark Penn, Brick Church, Perth Amboy, Lyndhurst, Newark Broad Street are all stations where we've done significant access improvements and significant restorations. In fact, we're just starting a very painstaking restoration of the waiting rooms in Brick Church that I'm looking forward to. I know you heard it from everyone else, and I just want you to hear it from me that our job here is to get people back and forth safely. And our priority is always going to be safety and that ultimately that universal access and access for all. We do talk a lot about where mini highs are used, and for us, we did use them between 2004 and 2007. We had a lot of problems with them operationally, and so we try to use them as a weapon of last resort where nothing else works, when that's all that we have available. And there are a lot of operational reasons for that. The lifts are challenging to operate for conductors. On this line in particular, trains travel this track every 5 minutes at peak, whether they're express or local. There's usually something going by, and moving a lift up and down an asphalt platform to find an empty car and then move someone up and then put the lift away, it might take 5 or 6 minutes that we often don't have. And as Chris pointed out, that makes a lot of sense for Amtrak, and I wish I had their dwell times in their schedule so that we had the ability to do that, but we don't. Having full-length platforms for us is a priority because we are about access for all, and part of that means not just the wheelchairs. It's people like my father-in-law who have crutches right now because he fell and broke his knee. He's not in a wheelchair. Am I expected to ask him to walk 1,000 feet to go use a mini high level or climb 4 stairs? It's not really fair to the people who are mobility limited and are impaired to the point where they need, wheel access across. So that's very important to us. So that's why that's not our standard practice. And I just want to say that overall, we are looking at other technologies. The mini highs that were mentioned before, or not the mini highs, but the lists were mentioned before. I think we actually use them in Hoboken, where it's appropriate along a long covered canopy. And we do want to make this the best station it can be and restore the interiors the best as we can, and also bring everything else up to code standard of repair and make it the center point to the town that it needs to be. Right now, over 1,000 people a day use this station. I just checked the ridership reports. It grows at 15% per quarter. We're looking at 2,000 people using the station. If you know Bloomfield, you know that it has blown up everywhere. Making that clean, accessible, even level boarding for everyone is critically important to us. And while we would love to do mini highs, and I hope that we have some stations where we can explore that and nothing else is available, and a few of them come to mind right now that I won't discuss. One of the challenges operationally that we need to talk about mini highs is they do segregate people from the larger population. You need to go off and use them. And they aren't truly complete access because not all of our stations have full length boarding. You've been on trains probably where the middle 4 or 5 cars are all that are available. If you're in an end car and a mini high, there are stations you can't get to because you can't move through the train in an ADA compliant fashion because the trains aren't built that way. So that's something that weighs on our operational needs as well. Those are some of the reasons why we don't consider mini highs anymore as a policy, and why the lifts don't really work for us that are mobile just from an operational standpoint. We just don't have the time and the schedule to be able to do that sort of thing. That's all I have to say. I will not bore you anymore, but thank you for listening to me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We have any questions from the council regarding the presentation we just heard? I have a question regarding safety and vandalism. Yes, there's a priority, of course, for accessibility and being inclusionary. I have a concern regarding some of the images that we saw regarding graffiti, vandalism, and safety issues that would go along with that in terms of using the tunnel, say, for example. What elements of safety are you going to incorporate or increase to eliminate some of those things that we saw in the exhibits that you presented?
If I could speak to that, one of the things I'd like to offer, and I think it's important to appreciate the context, is that we didn't actually own the station house that is in the poor state of good repair. We only recently came to an agreement with the township to take that back. They originally bought that from the DLNW, I think, for $1, and opportunities just didn't become available for them to give it the attention that it deserved. We now have that ability in-house at Transit and the funding to do it. So what we typically do at stations like this is that we'll restore it. It'll be fully monitored with, we have security cameras that are directly wired to our NJTPD. They have an office in Orange, which is not far. And then ultimately these things, when the schedule ends at night, the doors are locked. So a lot of the graffiti that you see on that station house, which isn't something that, I don't want to say it doesn't happen on our properties, but once it's a living, restored, live station with traffic and throughput in that tunnel, that's something where we can actually offer accessibility and security through our standard routines now that we own it. I hope that answers your question, sir.
It addresses it. Do you have a site plan overall of what you're proposing in your preferred alternative? I think there was a 3D model of it, but I mean, do you have a site plan that would include all the improvements on both sides of the track?
Chris?
Sure. Let me just give me one moment to.
And specifically, circulation, landscaping, lighting, and so forth. While he's looking, how do you intend to make up the shortfall of the funding that would seem to exist with your preferred alternative?
Just fits. It's a squeaker within the budget. And if it does wind up to be a shortfall, we would have to, well, we typically do when projects run over budget, which fortunately for us is very rare. What we do is we will defer another project that was planned for 6 months to a year, and the funding stream that was available for that will devote to this to finish it. Under no circumstances will we leave this half done, if that's your concern, sir.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Flavia.
You're on mute, ma'am.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. Is it unmuted now?
You're good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember whether the application included statistics on ridership. So if you could revisit that, could you tell us whether stations that have raised platforms are similar to the one you're trying to do in Bloomfield, whether the ridership has improved?
It's an interesting conundrum of transit that we don't really have the opportunity to chase areas that are growing. We usually end up chasing them after they've already grown. Bloomfield being an example. High-level platforms generally come into play when we can no longer handle safely what's going on at the various station ridership back and forth. So unfortunately, we're still very reactionary in that. I hope one day to be, proactive in that.
Yeah.
To answer your question, ma'am, at Montclair line, let me get down to Bloomfield. When we were pre-pandemic, the station carried 1,640 riders a day. We've at the lowest of pandemic, we were only 345, and I kind of remember ghosting through the station because this is my line. We are back up to about 1,100, and the projected ridership growth, particularly with all the TOD going around it, is about 15% a quarter. So I would project out of pocket, because it's hard to really project these things in a confident way, that you're looking at 2,000 people per day within the next few years, given all the development around it, which would make it one of our highest ridership stations. And when you are at that level of ridership, one of the things that affects our dwell time and how long it takes to load is people climbing up and down stairs. And then you get into a lot of the minor things, some of the low-level stations that are not in the best repair. People twist their ankles when they get up and down, especially when there's crowding to get up and down and out of the station. So that for us is kind of a big driver of the safety. And to be honest, anecdotally, a nice, clean new station that looks welcoming, hopefully it'll attract riders from all those TODs. So I suspect it will have a positive impact on the ridership to make it as good as we can.
You're alleging certain high-level accident prone areas in stations that have stairs and so on. Do you have statistics on that?
We have a couple incidences here and there. A lot of times when people fall, they just get up and they walk away. I could go through and root through security footage and I could find incidents at other stations. But we are fortunate, and that is largely exceptional. A lot of times it happens with new riders who aren't familiar with the train when they step off. So again, I'm being anecdotal. I am not offering you hard statistics. If that's something you'd like to know more about, I would have to do a study internally and assemble data for you, which could take some time. I'd still be happy to do it for you, but that's something where I couldn't tell you right now.
Thank you.
Bob, if I may interject with my comments. I don't know if that I have a question, but I've got a few things that I would like to say. One is for the council to not forget why we are here. And I completely respect the need to provide safe access to rail passengers. But we are here because of the resource, and the resource is the station. And through the presentation, what I heard was, best in class, which I think is amazing, and passenger experience. But nobody really talked about passenger experience at a historic station, which is part of the passenger experience. I think my other comment is that not everything is a one size fits all. There's definitely standards, and we have reviewed many applications where there are standards that, have to be met, and the need to balance those requirements with respecting the historic nature of the property or the resource for which we are being asked to provide recommendations for. There's been a lot of discussion about the primary element that's going to be affected is the exterior canopy, and that's not necessarily true. If you look at the rendering for the preferred alternative, that elevation, that rear elevation, or the elevation that is facing the tracks, is completely different. Completely different. It will be completely different from what it looks like today. It has to be, because basically the platform is going to be raised, and that means the canopy is going to be raised. I don't actually have a problem with the canopy being raised. That happens. The language might be a little bit different, but what I will ask my council members to just think about is, and how I feel in regards to this application and the current design, is that I do not believe that enough thought has been put into trying to respectfully marry the impact on the historic resource, which is not just the platform, but the platform and the building and the canopies and the structure as a whole. And do we have the best design that marries the requirements and the need to provide safe public access to rail passengers in correlation with the respect and trying to retain as much of the historic character of the actual building, canopy, platform as we possibly can, so that we're not losing too much fabric and so that we're not altering more fabric than we absolutely need to. So I completely understand the need and the desire for providing, the best possible, the grade A plus class solution. But I also say this is not a modern station. This is a historic station that has historically been used for rail service. There are other historic rail stations that are out there that also have had improvements over the past years. And is this really the best solution for this station? So those are my comments, and those are the things that I'm looking at. And I feel like there can still be some work to be done on the actual plan to sort of marry the two so that there can be a better solution that respects not just the needs of the passengers, but also the needs of respecting and maintaining the historic station that is actually the resource that we are tasked to protect. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank
Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, I think you were asking for just a view of the site. I can share that. I have pulled that up if you'd like to.
Can you hold that, since we seem
Sure.
to have a flow going now, that I'd like to maintain that if there was someone from your camp that wanted to at least address Sophia's concerns at this point.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you that this is a difficult position. And one of the times that I envy your job very little. We at New Jersey Transit have a very solid focus on the best customer experience, but also the safest environment that we can create. And for us, that means full-length, high-level platforms. Unfortunately, that means sacrificing some of the historic content that the State Historic Preservation Office is arguing for. And that's a valid argument, too. I just want you to understand that from our standpoint, anything less than the safest for us, if anyone ever gets hurt, at the end of the day, that's on us, and we're responsible for it. So we're always going to argue for the safest solution that we can. We do our best that we can, and I'm sorry if it didn't measure up. I felt that we went through a tremendous amount of effort to try to come up with the best compromise to create a station that is restored. Right now, the station is in terrible condition, and come up with something that makes it work as the best compromise so that we can offer something truly safe and accommodating, while also trying to respect its historic nature as much as we can. And I think if you look at the other stations we've touched, we've been good partners in respecting that. I don't envy.
Is there someone on the design team that actually is a qualified historic architect that worked on the design of this?
If you'd like, I am a registered professional engineer, but if you'd like to talk to an architect from the team,
I would like to know if there was a registered historic architect that actually participated in the design of this station, in your design. It's a historic station. It's going to be touching historic materials. Did your design team include someone with qualifications for historic preservation? And I'm not talking about an architectural historian. I'm talking about an actual historic architect and someone that really knows the impacts and the effects of working on this historic property.
So we have.
Sophia. Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry.
You can say.
No, I was going to say we have our architect Roberto Vilas on the call, so I'll let him address that.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Roberto Villa. I'm a principal architect. I have a significant experience doing this type of work for many stations. I have done over 25 historic stations in my career. Some of them in New Jersey, like the Harrison Station improvements. We have a lot of sensibility in our design. I really think that we're bringing all the pieces back that we can to the station that's abandoned, and the station building that's not in operation at the moment. We understand the safety concerns, and we're trying to blend all these elements into a design that can comprehend and respond all the needs for passengers and all type of passengers with any type of disability. I think it's important that for us, bringing the canopy in a higher level, and if we're really seeking to have the canopies at the height they are create conditions that are not safe. And that's something that really is predominant in our importance in everything we provide. We understand how beautiful the station is, and that's how we're going to have the station's building being back to life. Something that was, I heard a lot was about deboarding. On boarding, how if you're a passenger coming to the station, you will know your level, like, okay, I will have to walk to the high level platforms. But what happens if you are deboarding and coming from Penn Station or a station that's already accessible? You're coming in a wheelchair and you happen to be in the wrong train car and you are deboarding to the station, you will have a really hard time getting into a level platform. You don't know where to level. It requires more time on travel for passengers with disabilities, and something we're very concerned. We understand, people with disabilities have to travel far distances, and also it's a lot of time for them to also to move around to a condition, just because we want to preserve some conditions that are not up to a historic level. You will see stations like Newark, Broad Street, that have high level platforms, and that combine that with historic stations. I have done this in Port Chester and Mamaroneck stations for Metro North up on the Westchester County. So we're very concerned about safety. We're very concerned about the building. I mean, we're taking this very seriously. We're having people with Jablonski that are very competent in the design, and we're going to bring all these elements back. We love bringing the architecture back of the elements, the clay tile roof. We love the tile work around the mosaics. We're going to bring all those elements back, and I think that's something that the neighborhood's going to appreciate. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a station that's going to open to all, and also highlighting all the historic value of this building.
Sophia, does that answer your question?
It answers my question, and if this does move forward, I would just say that I still feel that the impacts to the building should be further looked at. There's just going to be a huge impact to that rear elevation. Again, I completely understand. I do not devalue safety, none whatsoever, and I don't want anybody on this call to think that I do. I just feel that this is one solution. This is a solution, and the solution of trying to marry the two could potentially be further investigated a little bit more.
Thank you.
I just want to add that while I deeply agree with Sophia on this matter, that this is a unique station that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And the historic character of it should be preserved to the extent possible. That the of trains is also an environmental matter that serves the future of the planet and of the region. So I think that one of the interests of the transit here may be to encourage more ridership, especially as people grow older and they find that it's more convenient to use a train than to drive into the city or something like that. And I think it's really important to try to meld these interests in some way that protects both sides. I sincerely agree with Sophia. We are here to protect the historic character of this building, but the historic character of this building also depends on ridership and usership, and that to me is really important as well.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
sir.
can I just ask maybe a question to clarify that might help with clarification of Sophia's comment? When if you take away the canopy part, which we've discussed, I guess, Sophia, is your concern about the other encroachments on the building due to the vertical circulation elements that have to be added? I just wanted to kind of like narrow it down to where that is so that we understand what that consideration
Yeah, so I
might
think,
have to be.
looking at the placement of the vertical circulation, the relationship of the passenger when it will change, right? Their experience with that building will change. First of all, I also want to say, I think it's amazing that you guys are doing this project. Please don't get me wrong. I think that reinvigorating a station like this is going to be amazing for the passengers and for just the community. But I also feel like there probably can be a little bit more thought put into the placement of things, trying to reduce as much as possible the impact to that elevation. Once you raise that platform, it's basically going to be in the center of that elevation, right? The passenger's experience with that elevation now changes. And just also remember that somebody's experience coming to a station is not just about them boarding just about boarding a train. It's about what are they experiencing around them, and how they're entering and exiting is going to change. How they're accessing the platform is going to change. There's going to be now elements on that elevation that will have to be bricked in, or infilled, and things like that. That I think there really should be, if we're going to move forward with this, there should be really careful thought put into what is that going to look like, and what is that experience going to be, and are we doing the best that we can to retain as much as we can so that we don't lose what we already have. That's my biggest concern. Is, again, no one here on this board is against passenger safety. I completely understand wanting level platform. I get it. I do. Our charge here for this council is to protect the resource, and I think I'm just asking you to also just understand that as well. And at the end of the day, when the project is done, we can all say we did the absolute best that we could to think through, and just sometimes it's called thinking outside of the box, and it's not just this is what we're going to do, and because these are the standards, and that's what we're tasked to do. With historic buildings, you always have to think outside the box and just kind of get a little bit more inventive about how to kind of marry the two so that you get the best product in the end.
Thank you. And I would be in total agreement with your comments, and related to that, I think that was one of the reasons why I asked to see a site plan to be able to deal with the arrival and departure to the site, not just to the train. That's why if you had something that we could look at, you might want to provide some explanation on that also.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, just to your point, so this is just a axiometric view of the site with this concept. This is looking northwest from the southeast corner at the intersection of Glenwood and Lackawanna Place. So I think just for context, along Glenwood, you actually have multiple bus stops here from multiple bus routes. So folks that are making some kind of intermodal connection currently are really accessing the station via the stairs to the south end at Glenwood. Then as you kind of move up, not necessarily shown here, but you have the parking garage along Lackawanna Place that's at the center of the station across from the outbound building. We saw the photo looking that way. And then as you move farther north, you really have a lot of TOD development going on. North of the station, there's a new residential complex that just went up recently in the last couple of years to the west side of the station. So obviously trying to create connection points for both folks who may be coming from the downtown area that's really along Glenwood and intermodal connections here to the south versus those that may be, looking at the opportunity to move into one of these residences that's either currently open or soon to be open with all the construction they have going on. It's a nice mix of people who probably are going to be accessing this station either via bus transfer or on foot from a local residence that's within a 5-minute walk of the station. I don't know if that helps provide some context to this or not, Mr. Chair, but
it does. Question regarding these existing carriageways on both sides that flank the station there. What is the treatment that is proposed for those, given that they're existing and they'll be close to, it says public traffic, but what is their function and what would their materials design be?
Yeah, so they're currently just really used as maintenance access for maintenance vehicles for New Jersey Transit that need to come to and from the station. They're crushed stone right now, but we are looking to put back and replicate what was there previously. I would caution that they would not serve as an ADA paths given their slope. It is not an ADA compliant slope, so we would want to be careful about offering that up as an ADA compliant option, but there is some consideration to being able to utilize it as a means of egress because they're located on the outbound side. You know, for folks that there would be options. And if we go back to this rendering here that we have, you can see sort of this envisioning of the ability to reuse the terrace as a public space with access points coming from the carriageways, because you also have, you know, stairs that are that would provide access to this terrace off the outbound platform. It would, you know, give the option, I guess, for passengers who are disembarking the train to not necessarily have to come down through the building or use the stairs at the end of the at the ends of the platforms. Which at the end of the day, you know, for us, it's really about how you're getting people most quickly back to their bus, their home, their car, wherever they're making that connection. And it provides for additional egress points from the station.
You're depicting
so
a food truck on the platform area here?
I'm sorry, this is the terraced area beyond the platform. So just looking here, kind of if I take it back to, let me just take it back to the this terraced area here that's currently fenced off and closed to the public. It's only accessible with a key lock for maintenance purposes. We have envisioned that as a potential. That's, you know, it hasn't been fully developed yet, but it's just something we've been in discussion with New Jersey Transit about how we can, when we're revitalizing the exterior of this building, how can we also reimagine it for additional use beyond just passenger circulation.
Continuing too, I just, do you have any documentation regarding the landscape as it existed, the site as it existed during the period of interpretation, and how does what you're proposing relate to this landscaping that is part of the historic fabric of this building too?
Yeah, we have some images and some general understanding of what the material was for the carriageway. You know, the embankments there really were an embankment on fill with some kind of grass and shrubbery landscaping. At the time, obviously, it was exactly what it's been defined as a carriageway. So you had folks that were arriving up those carriageways and using this covered archway here to access the building and access the tracks. And there was, you know, an baggage elevator and baggage room for people who were coming and going. So, you know, it's not designed to take vehicular traffic or anything, nor would we want to necessarily push people to be able to use this for that type of purpose. But Rich, go ahead.
If I may, sir.
Yes.
It's something where we saw an opportunity. It's not part of the platform proper. However, it is an opportunity. I believe this was originally where people would take carriages up and unload right there under the covered porch. But it was an idea to revitalize the area on the station, encourage people to engage the building proper, have an opportunity for local businesses to bring their food trucks up and offer, you know, whatever during business hours. It, as Chris said, it can't function as ADA, but if it's something where there's an opportunity to do some additional research historically and really improve the site in a compliant way that meets the purpose and need of making it an attractive feature to the community and restoring it historically, that's something I think would be a fantastic idea if that's where you were going with it, sir.
Well, I just wanted to know how the landscape as installed with the station, how that relates to what you're proposing here, and whether there were any elements, going back to Sophia's comments regarding the experience, the arrival and departure experience to the station itself, not just from the train to the station.
An excellent point. Do we have any research on that, Chris, or is that something we should look at further?
If I may, yes, we do have started an archive of photos, historic photos, and we're trying to research the historic fabric, not only for elements like doors and ceilings, but we also have been looking at the landscape. For landscape, for older archives of photos, they show a lot of trellises along the concrete walls at the ground level. We spoke about that with our conservators, architects, and they didn't advise to go to that approach with the landscape over the walls because we'll damage seriously the concrete at this stage. That's the reason we do show like a lower type of landscape along the walls. So that we have addressed already, and how important was continued integrity of the wall. Some of our concepts was, since Craig was mentioning how important is this station be intermodal, not only transit, because we do got the buses, we got around 3 bus stops in the corner of Lackawanna. Is how we can integrate that into our design. We have discussion about making a little small plaza that will welcome passengers coming from the bus to the transit area. And that plaza could be an opportunity for historic displays. We can show some of the historic value of the station and the neighborhood. So, we have been discussing those ideas.
Any other questions or comments from council?
I do.
Yes, please.
I wondered if the alternative that was preferred by the proposition that we were presented, the preferred department's alternative was also Sophia's preferred alternative, or whether when she commented on the historic character of the building, whether that was a critique also of the preferred alternative.
So Flavia, my critique is my comments are the critique of the preferred alternative. I guess in my mind, I would like to see something that's sort of a little bit more of a middle ground between, the HPO's preferred and the applicant's preferred, by continuing to, do another iteration, look at the levels, sorry, not look at the levels, but look at elements within the site, and particularly of the building, that can be explored a little bit more to, again, retain as much of the historic fabric as possible. Once this high level platform goes in, there's no turning back. That's not reversible. Moving the canopy and demolishing the concrete canopy, that's not reversible. So my comment is, or to respond to your comment, is to kind of take another look, and is there something that is a little bit more of a compromise between what I think was option 2 and I think the preferred alternative is option 8.
May we look at that?
I think that's something that we would have to suggest to be entertained when we review the resolution, if you're agreeable to that.
Yes, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, sir. The high-level platforms, I realize, are a significant alteration for the full length, but that's kind of something that is a core purpose to our project from a transit perspective. If that's something we're going to revisit and seriously consider, we'd have to revisit the purpose and need of the project in total. And that really wasn't somewhere that I wanted to go. If we can keep our standard of care on that, it makes life a lot easier to progress the project. And I was hoping that that was something that, we could take seriously as a part of this conversation. I'm willing to entertain other opportunities to modify the design and meet goals. But at the end of the day, that's kind of a hard stop for us, where we need to be thinking of our customers first.
Thank you. Flavia?
No, I'm trying to, can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yeah. I'm trying to take that
Trying to put your hand down?
and I can't find a place to erase it. I'm sorry. I had my hand up.
It's now down. You're good.
You're good.
Good, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Yolanda.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And so I guess just to maybe play like sort of a little bit of a hypothetical, going beyond what Rich said. If the understanding is that we would want to accomplish this with the high level platforms, and the canopies do have to be removed to achieve that goal, going back to maybe the earlier point that you made, Sophia, about the other modifications that are being made to the building, are we saying that you would want us to consider other design options that might not have those types of encroachments on the buildings themselves. As an example, an alternative for where a vertical circulation element might be placed. I'm just trying to, understand. And obviously, we'll wait and see what you render for your disposition and your thought, but just kind of wanting to understand what that might entail, because I think that would help us take that back internally and understand the position you're taking.
I guess in my mind, it's, looking at the high level platform. And again, my position is, at the end of the day, if this council approves a application to install a high level platform, we want to make sure that the most historic fabric has been retained. So taking another look at what that elevation looks like, is there an opportunity to potentially move things so that we can retain as much, the access from the building to get onto the platform, those things, just taking another look at those things, making sure that this is the best that we can do, and to make sure that there are no other alternatives, all stones have been overturned, that kind of thing. So that we're comfortable with it. I'm only one person of 3 other people on this board, but that's my feeling is, in order for me to be a yes, it's just making sure that you and that the client has, or the applicant has, done their absolute best to make sure that this resource has been retained as much as possible, and not forgetting that the resource, not just the platform, but this is a site, it is a station. There's multiple elements to a train station, and not to forget that. I don't want to get sidetracked with, yes, we need to get passengers to the platform and how they board that platform, but there's a lot of other elements that are touched in that experience, and we should be thinking and looking at all of those things, and not just getting hung up on the passenger on a high level platform and boarding the train. It's the whole experience. And sometimes we have to compromise, and I totally understand that, but I want to make sure that we're doing the right compromises, and that we haven't, that at the end of the day, when we do compromise, it's because we know that that was the only alternative and it was the best alternative.
Thank you. Mr. Villa.
Okay, thank you. Just to reiterate, we have took a really holistic approach of the station, and and we understand your concerns. I think it's very important to state that while you are outside the station, when you're approaching the station from the sidewalk, from the curve, the perception of the building has not going to really change dramatically. The station building will be there. The canopies are such a vertical height that you won't be able to perceive all the changes on the platform. I mean, we're going like a 4 feet high for what it was. You're seeing this from the distance. When you're approaching inside the building, we're bringing back the life of a building that's totally closed at this point. I mean, we're really opening the pedestrian tunnel. We are very respectful of all the finishes. We have done our due diligence to record all and try to find as many pieces from the past so we can bring those back to life. The stairs, we are very conscious how we do, how we renovate and recovering those stairs back and becoming part of the circulation, the lobby and those areas. So we're very conscious of how important it is to maintain as much fabric as possible. But as you said before, it's a blend between how we blend those elements and we blend the needs of the passengers. Up to being 2024, that equity is more than important, that we're providing access to all. We understand your concerns about taking your elevation as you are at the platform level, but just to remind to everyone, right now, if you're looking at the stations, everything is covered by plywood. There are doors are not existing, windows are all covered by plywood. So we're going to recover all that, and we have prepared drawings that we're studying those conditions and how we're going to bring those back to a proper state of good repair.
I would hope, though, also that you will include the the statement that you made about the landscape and the trellis aspects around this, these large expanses of concrete that apparently, when it was designed, were to be mediated by some kind of vertical landscaping that goes in there.
Yes,
And
yes, and
I
there
would
was.
agree that the attachment of the landscaping to the facade is not necessarily desirable from a maintenance and a management standpoint. If that was an element of the design to ameliorate those expanses of concrete with landscaping, that's something that should be incorporated in moving ahead with the architecture of this building.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will take a deeper look at that. As I said before, it was not recommended to us at the time for the integrity of the wall and the concrete because it's a very old concrete aggregates, so they will be exposed to a landscape and water. We'll revisit that.
Then maybe it should be something that offsets that wall with some kind of a structure that would support
absolutely.
that landscape as opposed to attaching it directly to the concrete.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it would be a great feature to have.
May I make a
Please.
potential suggestion for that? And so I completely understand the desire not to have landscaping adjacent to the building. But my compromise might be to have a decorative feature that could have the trellis work, but it would be decorative in feature, meaning it could be vines. It wouldn't be tangible foliage, but the compromise could be that it could be perceived as, a sort of trellis work with, vinage on it. It just wouldn't be actual real vines or flowers, or I'm not taking away from you, but just as a homage of what used to be there, but also to make sure that the building is protected and that the concrete won't spoil and things like that. Just a suggestion.
Given the fact that that could be documented as a part of the original design. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
I would just contribute also that, Rich could maybe back this, but obviously the Transit Arts program that is part of these new station projects, we can look at how potentially to incorporate that aspect of it into the site design and site elements.
And if I may back that up, yes, I am fully on board with these as measures. I would love to include, we do anyway, but SHPO is always part of the Transit Arts initiatives where we do these sorts of things. We really got into sculptures, mosaics, time sensitive, or things that are contextually appropriate for the station. I love all of that, and I just want to make certain that everybody understands everything I'm hearing from Sophia and Chris. I'm 100% behind. If that's something that meets your needs, sir, then we're happy to prepare renderings, make sure it's contextually appropriate. I'm using the wrong words because I'm not an architect, but I'll do whatever I can here to help.
You're doing good. Are there any other questions of the applicant?
I have none.
At this point, then, I would feel that it would be appropriate to open public comment if, in fact, we have commenters documented. Do we have that, Megan?
I didn't see any names in the chat, but there's a significant amount of people on this call who I don't know. If anyone has public comment, can you please put your name in the chat?
Yes, now's the time. We're open for public comment.
Is that Rich Rockwell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I speak now?
Yes, sir, please.
I'm
Identify yourself and
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. My name is Rich Rockwell. I am a Bloomfield councilman. I'm a council liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission, and I'm a trustee on the Historical Society of Bloomfield. I agree with the Historic Preservation Office that removing the concrete canopies would be a really unfortunate and significant alteration of the historic fabric of the building. The canopies integrated with the rest of the concrete are an important part of why this building is historic. As far as how it looks from the street, one of the topics that came up, in my opinion, the new steel canopies that are proposed make the station look like a light rail station. It looks like one of New Jersey Transit's light rail stations. So we would in effect be taking a unique historic structure, train station, passenger train station, and making it look like a light rail station. I didn't see in the renderings how the concrete, whatever the spacing is going to, the 4-foot spacing from the street views, how is this 4-foot spacing going to be handled? How's the new concrete or whatever the material that's being used going to be integrated with the poured concrete with exposed aggregate? And I also have a lot of concerns about, as far as the customer experience. Thank you, Sophia, for raising those points. I agree that the customer experience is very important. If a customer is standing on the raised platform, they're gonna be at above, like 4 feet above doors and windows. They're going to be walking past doors and windows that are 4 feet below where they are. And these landing wells seem to me, I mean, I can't imagine how they could look good on that historic building, how you approach the building. And in effect, you're causing the vast majority of customers, as far as a customer experience, the vast majority of customers who are going to be walking to the train are going to have to go up and down stairs or ramps just to get in and out of the waiting rooms. I'm, by the way, I forgot to mention, we're really excited to see all the improvements on the station, and I'm thrilled to see that the tile roofs are being preserved, the ornamental tiles, the underground pass through. This is so long overdue, and this station is really in bad shape, and I'm really glad that New Jersey Transit is making these improvements. So I would definitely not like to see I would like to see other alternatives considered, and I thought the photographs that you showed of the mini high platforms at another station looked very good. I was wondering if it would be possible to consider the mini high platforms plus the mobile loading device, so that if somebody happened to be in between the mini platforms, they could still use the mobile platform device. I also wonder if New Jersey Transit could implement, because they do have stations that already have mini high platforms, could they implement accessible or more accessible cars? Could they keep a standard? Could they have the standard of this car, these 2 cars are the ones that are most accessible, so that people know if they are getting on at another station, if they have strollers or a wheelchair, they would know that they can get into the train cars that are the ones that are accessible. So that's my feeling about it. I think it's really an important historic station. The exposed aggregate poured concrete, the whole design of the station, it's all integrated into the look of the canopies, and it's all part of the historic fabric. There was, just historically, I don't know what the original architect's plan was for landscaping, but in the early 1900s, shortly after the station was built, there was an organization in Bloomfield called the Town Improvement Association that did landscape improvements and gardening improvements at train stations and schools. And they did a lot of the landscaping work that was done on the station. There was a period of time in historic photographs, there was a period when the station was completely covered with vines. It was I'm guessing it was English ivy, but the whole side, the whole Lackawanna Station side was covered with vines at one point, which we don't want to see. So thanks for the opportunity to make comments, and thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwell. I have a question though. We appreciate the comments that you've offered and respect the organizations that you are a part of. Are you speaking on an official capacity with any of those affiliations that you mentioned?
Thanks for asking, because we really didn't have time. We just found out about this about a week ago. Was there supposed to be a Section 106 review, or were people supposed to be invited? I mean, neither the Historical Society, the Historic Preservation Commission, or Town Council knew about this earlier than maybe a little over a week ago. We weren't. I just found out serendipitously at the last minute that this meeting was taking place, and was able to have a chance to review the plans at the last minute. I did send some comments to the Historic Preservation Office at the last. Really had sufficient time to prepare for this. We were blindsided by this meeting.
Well, thank you for your perseverance at becoming a part of this presentation, and we will certainly take that in consideration.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Edward Mikowski has his hand up.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mikowski.
Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Edward Michalski. I'm president of the Board of Trustees of the Bloomfield Center Alliance, better known as the BCA. The BCA is the District Management Corporation appointed by the Bloomfield Township Mayor and Council to operate the Special Improvement District in the Central Business District of Bloomfield. The Lackawanna Station is located in that district. The Bloomfield Center Alliance has worked with New Jersey Transit as far back as the year 2000 to develop plans to renovate the station. The plans in the early days included many of the elements as we see today, with the exception of the removal of the canopies. Back in the 2000 timeframe, the plan included many high-level platforms, which at the time were judged to be an adequate solution for the accessibility requirements that were seen to be needed in the train station. I would like to say that the only element that was incorporated from that early work was the renovation of the inbound waiting room in about 2006. None of the other improvements and renovations were able to be made due to restrictions in funding. I'd like to say that the Bloomfield Center Alliance is very, very supportive of the idea of renovating the station today, given that we now have the funds available. And we're strongly, strongly supportive of the idea of improving, renovating, and restoring the station. To switch to a more personal view, it's my personal feeling, aside from what I've just said, that the removal of the historic cast concrete canopies and the attendant raising of the entire platform will destroy the historic fabric of the building and is not consistent with the goals of historic preservation, particularly with landmarks that are like the Lackawanna Station, which is both on the Bloomfield historic list, on the state register, and on the National Register of Historic Places. My recommendation would be to use the mini high-level platform solution together with, as Councilman Rockwell suggested, a mobile device for the occasions where someone needs to board other than at the ends of the train where the mini high-level platforms would be installed. I really want to leave off with saying and emphasizing that Bloomfield Center Alliance is strongly supportive of the renovation and restoration of the station, but we think we need to be very respectful to its historic character, and I believe the historic character is destroyed by chopping off the poured concrete canopies. The other point that I'd like to make, and it's just an observation, that there's been no discussion of the feasibility of lowering the railroad tracks to accomplish desired relocation of the relative platform to the boarding platform on the railroad cars. And it's possible that lowering of the tracks combined with a more moderate raising of the platform might be a solution. I haven't done no investigation, but I just asked if New Jersey Transit could address the feasibility of lowering the track, since it wasn't mentioned at all. And also in keeping in mind that there's a bridge over both Glenwood Avenue and over Washington Avenue, Washington Street, that are both over 100 years old. I don't know the condition of the bridges. They're frequently hit by trucks and require inspection by engineers. So I call into question whether perhaps a lowering of the tracks perhaps might even be in conjunction with replacing bridges that may have potentially reached the end of their useful lifespan. I just request that this be addressed, and I'm not suggesting that that's the solution, but I would like to hear about it. And with that, I thank you very much for listening and wish everyone a very pleasant afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Mr. Schaefer, did you want to say something to that comment about potentially lowering the track?
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Unfortunately, that's not technically feasible. Those bridges have about less than 2 feet between the top of rail and the underside of the bridge. So to go through and cut 4 feet, 4 foot 3 inches to get to the right height and save that, you're talking about reconstruction of the entire Booten line, both tracks for several years, and undo the grade separation that is an historic part of the corridor as well. It would mean a lot of closing of roads, redoing of drainage, cutting. It would be between $500 and $1 billion solution.
Thank you for providing us with that comment.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Any other public comment? Now's the time. Hearing none, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. And at this time, the council will entertain discussion amongst us and deliberation regarding the resolution. Do we have that resolution to be able to post?
Could we have a 5-minute break, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. It's 12:24. We'll reconvene at 12:30. Thank you very much for the reminder.
So don't plan on Delaware?
Huh?
Don't plan on Delaware?
Not yet. This is going to be over in about half an hour, though. So do you want to make a plan?
Well, I just want to know what you're thinking, because JR wanted to come over later this afternoon. I told him.
Well, let's go tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is Friday.
That's better.
Thank you, Luann. I was engrossed, and so it was time for a
Oh,
break.
thank you, Bob.
Thank you both.
So, all right, we've closed the public portion of the meeting. Guess it's time to take a look at the draft resolution. Thank you.
I move to review the resolution.
Seconded.
Moving to second. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Seconded.
We will review.
Come on. Can you all see the resolution?
No, we see your
Okay.
schedule.
Sorry.
We see your
Very
calendar.
busy. That's my fault, sorry. I know. There you go, is that better?
Yes.
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
now we can.
Thank you.
Scroll down or
Sure.
make it a little smaller.
Sure.
Better.
That good?
Well, I think is the 2-page view okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
two-page view is good.
That good?
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just tell me when to move it.
I'm good.
Is the in order to and 12 being questioned? Can
Do
you hear
you
me?
ask that because it's underlined? I think it's because I need a comma. I don't know. Oh, it wants to change it to 2. For that? I think that's. Yeah.
I don't think it would
Attempt to
it
meet
would
the
be
standard.
questions because it's being made as a statement of what JBC recommended.
It
Doesn't mean that
attempt to meet
we're
the standard.
accepting it, just that they are,
In
that
an
that's
attempt-
what they recommended.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so in an attempt to meet the standards would be the appropriate wording.
Oh, I see.
And strike out the thank you.
Sure, thanks. Right. Oh, sorry.
You can scroll when you.
Why is there an underscoring similar to in 13 under the, why is that?
It wants to change it to
But-
like.
Flavia, those are just grammatical recommendations that the program automatically makes.
Oh, I
When you
see.
see those kinds of underlines.
I thought it was something that the
Thank
department
you.
had. Okay.
AI.
Yeah. Max don't do that for you, I guess.
I don't have I don't have programs that tell me what to say, I guess.
Megan, while we're reviewing this, could you just explain to me very briefly this technical assistance letter? What does that mean? What is the significance of that?
Christine and I went out there months ago. Christine Oasis, she's a reviewer, a transit reviewer who works within the HPO. We went out there many months ago and met with Stantec and Jablonski Building Conservation and went and transit staff and went over the project. And at that time, the follow-up was this technical assistance letter. So we've been working with transit on this project for a few months. And it was at that time that we learned of different alternatives that were available for a historic building. So it's referencing that correspondence and the different alternatives that are available so that ADA accommodations can be made with flexibility so as not to diminish and destroy the historic integrity of a listed resource.
And at what point in time was this provided to them, this technical assistance letter?
Oh, I apologize, we didn't put the date in.
Well,
February, I
just
think.
generally. Okay.
And we've had 2 other meetings with transit too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
May I suggest that those dates be added, and also
Sure.
can you also add, if it's not in here already, the date of the site visit?
Yes. Sorry about that.
And then I have a question.
Sure.
It doesn't have to do with anything that's, I think, currently written, but one of the things that we heard was that the local historic preservation community was not provided enough time to provide comment on this application. Did the applicant provide any documentation for their outreach? That's actually a requirement of the application.
I mean, the list of interested parties was provided, and then but there wasn't like minutes from a meeting or anything with locals.
It wasn't what? I didn't hear you.
There wasn't minutes from any local meetings or local outreach, and then you requested it, but
Thank you.
So my suggestion is that information should be provided that should be included in this resolution, that whatever was actually provided, and then, what was actually provided with the application, and then just in the same sort of paragraph that there was testimony by public comment that adequate notice, or that they weren't notified until like a week before this actual meeting.
Okay.
I think that's important because I think, in my opinion, that's something that should be addressed in the therefore be it resolved portion of the of this document. Primarily because we've heard there are some concerns.
Okay. Jackie Lipson has her hand raised.
Hi, yes, good afternoon. We did reach out to the historic Bloomfield Historic Preservation Commission. I can give you those dates. And
I'm sorry, can you identify yourself and your
Jacqueline Lipson,
affiliation?
New Jersey Transit.
Okay.
Yes, so we did reach out to part of the consulting party list based on SHPO recommendations, and we reached out to the Bloomfield Historic Preservation Commission, and I can provide those dates for this resolution.
You said you reached
we
out
sent out, yeah,
part
we sent
of the
out,
list, but not the whole list?
Yeah, not the whole list, because I confirmed with our SHPO reviewer exactly who to share the information with, as well as internally.
Okay. Can you tell us what the dates were?
Yeah, I have to look that up. I'll get that right now.
But it sounds like that wasn't something that was actually provided or submitted. Is that correct, Megan?
Yes.
Okay.
That was sent July 29th, 2024.
It's not much notice.
That wasn't, yeah, that was like 3 weeks ago. Okay.
I'll add a finding of fact.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I don't have any other, I don't think I have any other changes in the resolution.
Good. Okay.
I take back what I said. In regard to not having anything to add. In finding of fact number 24, if that's, I think that might be the appropriate place to add it. I think maybe we can add that New Jersey Transit indicated that the mobile lift option was not their preferred option due to the time, due to limited dwell times while in station and the time it would take to deploy the units to
Serve the public.
board and deboard ADA requires passengers that require mobile assistance. I would say due to the limited, not due to lack of, but I would say limited.
I don't see the correction being input, so maybe we can have an update. Thank you.
Do you want any changes to that, Sophia?
Yes. I mean, no, I don't need any more changes, I don't think.
The next, next 4 words can be removed. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I can work on this later too.
Yep.
I think we should mention something about the landscape architectural character of the
Agreed.
site also. And should it come in this number 25A HBO review and consultation, where we talk about the historic and architectural character of the overall station complex? Should it be mentioned there?
Well, 25 is mitigation, so it would seem to me that maybe the initial discussion should go
As a new 25. A new
either
25. No?
Yeah, maybe a new 25 before you actually talk about the mitigation. Because I presume, Bob, that you'd want to also address that in the therefore be resolved.
Yes. It's just that we were given, I guess, an oral description, but we saw nothing of any documentation regarding photographs or drawings or anything regarding the station and its historical landscape architectural context. And in order to properly evaluate whether or not this pedestrian experience that you spoke of, is properly presented, we need to know what that context was so it can be incorporated in the design. I don't know where or how to say that, but
You said
it. You got that, Megan?
Let me check.
Thank God this is being recorded so she can rewind it.
Emily's taking notes. So you're asking for documentation of what the landscape looked like historically, so that when work is done, it is appropriate.
So that, yes, so that the eventual design, the final design, is compatible I'm not saying that it has to replicate it, but is compatible with, that historic character. We heard about the vines up the walls and how it was not necessarily practical at this point, but there are other elements that could be infused in the project to replicate or give the character of those vines that were originally intended. They thought the concrete walls were ugly too. That's why they put the vines in front of them.
So
Not putting-
25 should say that questions were asked and testimony was given about the exterior landscaping of the site, and then it can be addressed in the mitigation what was proposed. No?
Good.
Are we frozen?
No. Megan's just typing away.
Yeah.
Okay, I prefer to be, I mean, I seem to be frozen.
Oh, no, she's not frozen. She's just trying to type.
I know, but
I'm working.
my screen is frozen, so I can't see it. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You're back.
Okay.
Megan, I guess
Go
I
ahead.
would say, future landscape plans
Sure.
to be incorporated in the design are historically appropriate.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
I think, was not there also testimony given about that? As not just questions were asked, but testimony from the public? Did I have
Yeah.
that?
Yes, you're correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the testimony was made by the public noting that it was a
That there
local-
that there historically were vines on the building.
Sorry, that's my clock.
Also that there are historical photographs available to consult. And I believe the architect noted that they had been reviewing those images and were trying to incorporate what they saw into their planning.
Is that better? I mean, we can work on that more, but
Yeah, I think your bottom, it should say testimony was given that there were, that historically
historically there were vines on the building?
yeah,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Oh, take out the word there before. Testimony was given that historically, there were vines on the, yeah.
Good.
Quick question to colleagues. Do you feel that the introduction of food trucks in that close proximity has an effect, a negative effect on the historic fabric, or because they're temporary in nature that it's not really an issue?
For me, it's temporary.
Okay.
I'm not concerned. That's something that's going to go and come, and the food trucks are going to be there about as long as they're popular, and then they may or may not go away. I actually think it's nice that they're trying to provide some alternative amenities to potential passengers. What I think the part that sort of because it's not yet developed yet is that's a location that actually at the moment doesn't seem to be ADA accessible. That to me is the more of the issue. But the food truck itself is not, it's not going to be a permanent fixture there, so it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Thank you.
In regards to the mitigation, I don't have any, I don't think I have any changes.
Nope.
Now for the hard part.
Megan, I have a question. You mentioned this model of the station. I know that in the past you've required the incorporation of interpretive.
Well, to be clear, these are ideas from New Jersey Transit. Staff recommended denial, so we didn't recommend mitigation. This mitigation is from the application.
Well, what has your experience been with an interpretive three-dimensional model and its effectiveness or greater effectiveness than other drawings or renderings or whatever? I'd be very concerned about the ability to protect and maintain a three-dimensional model. I really would.
Sure, I think that's a valid concern. Go ahead, Sophia, please.
So I think the great thing about a three-dimensional model is that it will allow someone to be able to, if the station were changed, to experience three-dimensionally what it used to be like. I would say the question that I would ask is where is that animation per se, because that model is going to be an animation. Where is it going to live? Is it going to live on the township's website where anybody can, be able to go to the website, click on the link and be able to utilize or view the model? Would there be something set up in the actual station where there could be a panel where people could do some sort of interactive,
Video.
some interactive video or something where they could see how the station used to be, how the trains used to enter, where people used to board? I think it actually, there's a lot of opportunity for interpretation. The question is, where is it going to live, and how are people actually going to be able to interact with it?
So this is digital. Then I was
Both.
misinterpreting this as to being a physical model.
they are proposing both.
Why not? Why not both?
They are proposing both.
Yeah, so
They
why not?
are, yes. So I guess the